I'd like to invite to the stage Adam Stone from Speedlancer, Shanik Patel from Grammarly, and from Growth Marketing Pro, Haley Friedman.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for sticking around to the afternoon to hang out for this chat. We're going to talk today about SEO and conversion rate optimization, but before we do that, I figured the three of us might as well introduce ourselves to give you a little context about who we are and what we do. So I'll start. My name is Haley Friedman. I'm the co-founder of GrowthMarketingPro.com. It's a site that's 100% driven by SEO. On this site, I write about tactical growth guides for marketers and founders. I'm also head of marketing at a startup called Improvato, and it's a tool that helps marketers aggregate and collect all their marketing data into one place. And at Improvato, we also have a very robust SEO strategy, and we've seen our organic traffic grow by 7x in the last 4 months alone. So I'm very excited to be here talking to you guys about SEO and CRO and to learn from both of you as well. Cool. Do you want to introduce yourself, Adam?
Sure. I'm the founder of a company called Speedlancer, which is a, freelancing tech platform. We sell freelance teams in pre-made workflows, basically. So content marketing is a big focus of ours. We do research, writing, design, infographics, so all of the kinds of different components. And then there's 4 other teams as well that we generally sell. But I'm also here to talk about my background in SEO. I ran an e-commerce website before, which was in the cell phone niche, and I was able to get a third of the industry's web traffic, so about almost 400,000 unique hits a month. So we'll go into that as well.
Nice.
Cool. Hi, everybody. My name is Shanik Patel. I work at Grammarly. I oversee user and revenue growth for Grammarly. Grammarly is a SaaS software that allows you to write better, no matter where you're writing, on desktop or mobile. It helps you with not only like grammar and spelling error correction, but also things like tone and word choice and sentence structure and style. Grammarly has about 20 million daily active users that are using various products.
Awesome. Cool. So we'll kick things off by starting the conversation talking about SEO a little bit, and then we'll kind of move a little bit into conversion rate optimization. But I wanted to start with SEO because these days I think we all know content is king, and every smart company is pumping out tons and tons of content. I see it all the time. But one of the biggest mistakes I see marketing teams doing is pumping out content without a strategy behind it. In order to get Google to rank your content number 1 on page 1 above other people's content, is you kind of have to create the best content on the internet, and there's a lot of strategy that goes around that. And Adam, I know you've crushed it with SEO at your last company, and I was hoping you could share with us some of the secrets you've implemented to see results when it comes to SEO.
So I think the number one thing with SEO is to sort of go back to basics and make sure that you get everything right, because, I hate to say it, but without the foundations, you're not really going to be able to capitalize on anything else. And that means getting your product right first, which we'll go into later, I think, but also it's about on-page SEO. I think that's the number one most important thing, because nobody can seem to get it right, but if you do, Google will love you, and you'll be able to go from there. The second thing is obviously the content, so showing Google that you're fresh. I know Grammarly does an amazing job at all of that, being able to capitalize on the long tail, but also the short tail keywords. And they all kind of feed each other, because if your on-page SEO is really good, then you'll start to be able to capture the shorter and shorter and shorter tail keywords until, I was ranking number 1 on, we did phone unlocking. So number 1 phone unlocking, if you search for us in 2014, we were number 1 there. And then the last thing I would focus on, and I say it's last because it sort of can come organically, is backlink building, which seems kind of obvious, but a lot of people are trying to game that. And actually the number 1 SEO trick I had was to stop trying to build backlinks and actually doing a lot of link detoxing and getting rid of all the crappy backlinks that I'd paid people for, and that shot us up in the rankings. In order to generate some really good backlinks, one of the hacks that I had was to get our customers to film themselves unlocking their device and putting it on YouTube. And we would incentivize that with a $10 payment, which seems small, but we had hundreds of people filming these videos. And these videos got millions of views on YouTube, which is kind of hilarious, but the most boring thing ever. But we got people to link back to us, and because they came from all these different active YouTube accounts, and Google obviously owning YouTube, I'm convinced that that had a dramatic effect.
I love that. Yeah, another backlink strategy that I've used and seen work really well is if you can give people recognition in your niche. So if you can identify, these are the top 25 growth hackers to watch kind of thing, and get quotes from a bunch of people and do a roundup of experts and create a blog post about it, and then reach out to these experts, let them know they've been featured, and tell them to share it with their friends. That can be a great way also to drive traffic and backlinks to your site when it comes to SEO.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. And the last time you were heavily focused on SEO was back in 2014, and now it's 2019. I know you're thinking about implementing SEO again. Lots of things have changed. What have you seen change the most?
Most of it hasn't really changed. I guess there's some aspects of SEO that have changed. For example, people are looking a lot at generating longer content, but I don't like these blanket rules, and that's something that has changed. So in terms of trying to game Google's algorithm, I've noticed that it's actually getting harder and harder to game, and I think I've heard recently that nobody within Google even knows exactly how the algorithm works. Now, the way to do it in 2019 is called scientific or correlational SEO. And this is actually really cool because you can actually do it just by looking at the search results that are already coming up from your competitors. So looking up your competitor keywords and looking at what your top 3 competitors are doing and how they're ranking. So the length of the post for that keyword, the number of links outbound and inbound to those pages, the number of graphics, the number of videos, all of these sorts of techniques, their meta tags as well. So really trying to copy the outputs and replicating those to try to get in those top 3 spots. Because if you're not in the top 3 spots, you're losing roughly 70% of the traffic that comes to the page. So the top number 1 spot gets 30% of the traffic, and it just exponentially reduces from there. So scientific and correlational SEO. There are 2 tools that come to mind for this. There's one called Quora, which is really powerful. They analyze about 600 individual page things.
I was looking at it the other day because you mentioned it, and it looks super technical, is it?
Super technical.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a marketer, can someone use Quora or?
You can, but the tool that I actually prefer to use in my experience is one called Page Optimizer Pro. I'm not affiliated with them, but they're a really fantastic product in the way they simplify it, and they're quite well known in SEO circles. And Kyle Roof, one of the founders, is a great guy to watch. He's got some YouTube videos. He's also quite philosophical, which is really cool, because I've never seen someone be philosophical with SEO. But you'll see him talking about Plato and Socrates in his talks, which makes it quite entertaining. But yeah, scientific and correlational SEO, looking at the outputs of these pages. So that's quite critical. And then the other thing is trying to explore the long tail keywords and then writing on the topic in its entirety. So instead of just writing on one long tail, maybe a 500-word blog post like you would have before, the ones that seem to be ranking, if I am going to create a blanket rule, and again, this depends. If you're e-commerce, don't do this, probably. But if you're B2B, probably definitely do this, is to create really long-form content. I'm talking like 10,000 words, and do all your keyword research and write the master guide on the topic.
100%. Yeah, like you were saying earlier, like Google's a genius. You're not going to fool Google. Google wants everyone who visits Google to have the most incredible experience and deliver the best search experience possible. And so in order to get your content to rank number 1, it has to be 10x all the other content that you see out there. When someone visits your content, they need to have their questions answered from every single angle possible, to the point where that person is not going back to Google to ask any other question about this topic, because they've found everything they needed on your blog post or on your site. That's the kind of authority that I think you really need to have in order for Google to continue to rank your content.
For sure.
So, when I think about SEO, I really think about intent. You can have, a million organic visits to your site, but it doesn't really mean much if you can't convert users on your site. So, for example, you want to make sure that you're hitting really, really high intent keywords. Where are people furthest down the purchase funnel? Like, what are people searching for right when they're about to make a purchase? And then when you've figured out what those keywords are, how do you make the best content on the internet? It's really just about making the best content on the internet if you want to rank number one. So, if you can do that, great, then SEO is going to work for your business. But if you can't, and sometimes you can't, and that's happened, I know, in the case of Grammarly. So sometimes there are keywords that have been around for such a long time, and they're so competitive, and there's so many other sites or blogs that are already ranking for this keyword, and they're doing an incredible job that it can be near impossible to rank above them. And Shanique and I were talking about this earlier, and it sounds like Grammarly had this problem, but you had a really creative workaround. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So, in the past, Grammarly used to invest a lot into trying to rank for these high-intent, high-volume keywords. For us, those would be things like grammar checker and spell checker, plagiarism check, proofreading. And it wasn't so much that we didn't feel like we could rank. We definitely, I think, could be up in the top spot. We have the most, effective grammar checking product or spell checking product, but there was a bit of a misalignment with our long-term vision and these kinds of keywords. We're trying to really shed that label of grammar checker, spell checker. Grammarly has aspirations to be much more than that. It has aspirations to be a tool that allows for people to be really effective with their writing, going much, way beyond grammar and spelling into tone and clarity and effectiveness and word choice and so on. So, if we wanted to rank, we could put grammar checker all over our homepage. We could create backlinks for grammar checker to Grammarly, but this would be at the detriment of our long-term vision. And so, we made a decision that we're not going to try to compete with those sites that have ranked really high for grammar check and spell check and so on. And instead, we just try to own as much of the search engine results page as we can through mostly advertising. So, obviously, we're going to have our SEM ads up there at the top, in the top position. And then for the rest of the websites that rank, for example, for Grammar Checker, we try to recruit them into our affiliate program. And so, instead of competing with them, we bring them onto our team, and we have them refer their traffic to our site, where that traffic converts really well into users because it's really high intent. This allows for us to be on that page and own that traffic without, harming our ability to create this new category of, English writing assistant or whatever we're looking to do in the future. Most of our top affiliates in our program are these sites that really specialize in SEO, and they do it really well, and they're constantly working on ranking in these top positions. So we can instead focus our energies on things that are more, long-term focused. And, I recognize that this is maybe not a strategy that every company can employ because probably a lot of those sites that show up on the SERP for high-intent keywords are going to be competitors. But I still think that this is a strategy that people should evaluate, looking at long-tail keywords or all kinds of keywords. Whatever you're bidding on in search, you should just look at those SERPs and see what sites are there and see which ones you can recruit into your program.
100%. As affiliate at my last startup, I grew our affiliate program from the ground up. It turned out to be our #1 highest growth channel. It was doing so well that we had to pay out our affiliates so much. We actually had to turn off all of our other channels because we couldn't afford to run them anymore. And we were getting the best traffic from our affiliates. So it really can be extremely effective. It's kind of off topic, but what tool are you using to manage your affiliate program, and how are you recruiting your affiliate partners?
Yeah, so our affiliate program is actually our oldest channel. It was the one that we started, I think, 7 or 8 years ago, and it was because you pay per commission. And back then, we were bootstrapped, and we were able to just pay a commission on the revenue that we were receiving. So, and then we kind of copied affiliates' top tactics and did that stuff in-house. But we operate in a few different networks: CJ, ShareASale, and we have an in-house network through Tune. And we actually have outsourced recently our affiliate program management to an agency.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, so SEO is super cost effective. Affiliate can be really cost effective at the beginning. But just because these are two cost effective, high impact channels does not mean that you should go and do them, right? It depends on your business. It depends on your goals and your budget and your timeline for growth. And so I think it's important to think about how to prioritize. I think prioritization is key. We've all heard tons of growth tactics and hacks today, and we could all go home and implement all of them. Like every tactic can work for your business at some point with some amount of resources and some amount of effort. So it's not really about necessarily learning what tactics are out there, but it's more so about honing in on the most important tactics that you should focus on right now that are really going to move the needle for your business. It's something I write about all the time on Growth Marketing Pro. For example, Adam, you founded your company Speedlancer 4 years ago, and you haven't even touched SEO yet. Can you explain why you haven't chosen to focus on SEO till recently?
Yeah, definitely. I also want to add to what Shanik said. I think you can, I think a lot of different businesses can be inspired by what Grammarly has done actually, from a B2B and B2C standpoint in terms of SEO. I mean, they're just killing it. What's your site traffic at? Do you know? You should know.
Yeah, I probably won't disclose that.
Oh, you can't disclose. Okay. You can probably find it on some of these free tools, Ahrefs or something. But yeah, I think creating some of these longer tail keywords and ranking on specific pages, and this also ties into your question, is a way that the small guys can compete with the big ones. For example, with Speedlancer, I knew that we had to get our product right for a very long time, build a lot of the tech behind the scenes because that powers the front end, and also know what it is that we're building, get the price point right. As you mentioned, you can bring all this traffic to the site, but then if you're not converting in the best way, or you don't have a product that can justify focusing on SEO, then it's not going to work. But for us, we can't compete with Upwork and Freelancer.com and Fiverr. I mean, if you look at their backlink profiles, they've got millions of backlinks, and that's partially because they've got all these different freelancer pages that are going out and promoting themselves and creating their own mini networks, which is just an incredible SEO network effect. We don't really have that from a UX standpoint because our product isn't designed to promote all the individual freelancers who go and do the work. What we're doing now is beginning to look into the long tail keywords and focusing on ranking the individual pages, because you might notice that for Speedlancer versus Upwork, on a lot of these long tails that mean a lot for us, like podcast management or podcast production teams, they're not focusing on those at all. And that's what I see as our 2019 opportunity.
Picking the long tail words.
Picking the long tail, ranking pages and competing against their pages, where actually our pages might have higher page authority than theirs.
Cool. And this is a personal question I have because I've been working on our organic traffic on Growth Marketing Pro, and we've kind of, our traffic speed, we're working on making our pages load faster. And if anyone else has a good solution to this, let me know after the panel. But so I host my blog on, you're talking about optimizing your web pages. When I think about SEO, I'm often thinking about how can I make my blog content, rank and the speed faster. So I'm hosting it on WordPress and Bluehost. But what are you guys gonna host your SEO platform on? Yeah,
so I've actually spent the last way too much time bringing our front end back to WordPress from a Ruby on Rails front end, just because my developers, I mean, they're amazing at the back end and at the front end, but front end development is not as exciting for them. And I found that on WordPress you can iterate really quickly. I can have our whole content marketing team using it and interacting. I can have SEO people focusing on it. I can have SEO devs going in and making all these tweaks. So I think WordPress is really fantastic, and I've seen it support some really amazing sites in terms of their traffic and volumes as well. Yeah. I'm using WP Engine to host it on the front end, Cloudflare to speed it up, because as you said, page speed is everything.
Totally.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then, the blog itself is hosted now on our platform. We used to be on Medium because our old head of marketing was the #1 Medium blogger in the Asia Pacific, so he had 125,000 Medium followers there. But even, I don't think the network effects of Medium can compete with SEO.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for that. I'm going to check out Cloudflare or anything else that can speed up the site. But I think having, like we said earlier, having organic traffic is great. But if you can't convert it on site, then it's not going to drive your business. And I think there's a bunch of things you can do if your product is not ready. Specifically, if you can even at least utilize that organic traffic and funnel people into downloadable content or resources or templates and start collecting emails. Anything you can do to kind of take action on that traffic is huge. But I know, Shaunak, you've been at Grammarly for 6 years, and you guys have a ton of traffic. And can you tell us a little bit more about how you're optimizing your landing pages and the experience for users?
Yeah, sure. So, at Grammarly, we have a really diverse audience of people that's coming to our site. It's made up of students and job seekers and professionals and English learners and writers and bloggers, basically anybody who's writing in English online. And these are people from all over the world with varying levels of English proficiency. And so, they're all looking for different things when they come to our site. For instance, a student is explicitly evaluated on the quality of their writing through essays, and they're writing a lot. And so they're looking for something that can make sure that their writing is error-free and that they can get their point across. Professionals are often writing emails and messages where they're trying to accomplish a certain goal, whether it's a recruiting email trying to close a candidate, or a sales email, or trying to provide instructions or customer support. So they're looking for something different. An ESL may be looking for a tool that just can help them sound like a fluent English speaker, or even help them learn what errors they're making and how to avoid them in the future. So for us, it's really important to try to understand who somebody is when they reach our website, and then we try to personalize the experience from there. So we've done a lot to collect data about our users. We have done a lot of surveys. We are starting to experiment with third-party data tools like Clearbit. One interesting finding that we've had recently, where we set up like a pop-up overlay on our homepage to just ask people, like, what brings you to Grammarly, something like that. What brings you to Grammarly? And it was like 3 choices. I'm here to find a tool for my everyday writing, I'm here to check a document, or I'm here to learn more about Grammarly. We're just trying to understand people's intent. And we realized that more than half of our traffic is people who are coming to our site to improve a specific document that they're working on. And for years, we had been optimizing our web page and our entire funnel for a browser extension install, which is kind of our bread and butter tool, our flagship tool. Whereas most people would have preferred to be sent to our editor tool, which is a tool that can help somebody improve like a long-form document that they're working on. So now that we've learned that, we're going to create a new experience customized for these people who are here to check a document. So that was a pretty big learning that I think is going to propel a lot of growth. It's just really important to understand who people are when what they're trying to do when they get to your site.
Cool, I love that, and I've really seen that a lot recently, landing on sites that have either a survey pop up, or sometimes it's right there in the intercom or drift pop up, and it asks you a question, what are you here visiting for, and you can just click a button. But it does seem like personalization is a common theme today. It's a common thread that's been mentioned in almost every conversation. Are you taking those learnings and are you implementing them in your advertising efforts as well?
Yeah, so my role at Grammarly is to oversee our user and revenue growth. That includes advertising, and it also includes the growth marketing and experiment side. And I think absolutely those two functions should be working hand in hand with each other. There's so many learnings and synergies to be had. One example that comes to mind is we've built like a customer segmentation framework, basically taking all of our existing customers, building a table that includes all of the data that we have on those customers, the location that they're in, the what kind of product usage features, what features they're using, what ad channel brought them to us, their upgrade data, and so on. And then we used a random tree or random forest segmentation to group all of our customers into distinct actionable marketing segments. And then we can take those segments and use them to build lookalike audiences in our ad channels, and then acquire customers in these segments using very specific personalized messaging in those ad channels. And then we acquire those customers. We know that they come from certain campaigns, so they fit in that segment. And it's just kind of like a feedback loop. We strengthen our segmentation model over time. So this has yielded great results. In short, we're creating segments, acquiring customers using better, more personalized messaging, and then strengthening that model, and then we're able to personalize the experience through the funnel as well. So that's just one example of how those two functions can work together. Another big one is just the paid acquisition team really knows where the opportunity is with what audiences. So for instance, we know that there are a lot of customers in India who are really interested in Grammarly, but the LTV of an Indian customer is just not high enough. So our advertising team can go to the growth marketing team and say, hey, if we could improve this LTV of an Indian customer by 50%, then it's going to really open the floodgates. So having that perspective and helping growth marketers prioritize their experiments is a great way to just maximize overall user acquisition as well as LTV.
What levers are you pulling to just increase the LTV for a customer segment?
There's a lot that we try. We sort of identify where people are falling off in the funnel, so it really depends on the customer segment. But with some segments, they just don't retain very well, and so that means we probably have to work on the onboarding process and bring features to the surface that are really important for them. With the India example that I mentioned, it's mostly about pricing, so we're going to try some localized pricing for that geo and a few other geos. And yeah, it just kind of depends on the segment.
And then so that segmentation, it's happening in your ads, it's happening on site. Is it also happening in, say, like follow-up email marketing and stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've not gotten there yet, but we are looking to sort of tag people and have them as segments from in our ad channels all the way through the funnel, through the onboarding, and then into the product experience. There's a lot that we can do on the messaging side in product, as well as what features we bring to the surface for what segments. So that's to be done still, but definitely a growth area for us.
Well, yeah, it's definitely an iterative experience, so baby steps and will make a big difference. So one thing when it comes to SEO and CRO and really essentially all the things we're doing as marketers, tracking and measuring success is a common struggle I think a lot of us face. It's definitely something that I struggled with greatly before I joined as head of marketing at Improvato. And Improvato is a tool, like I said, that helps marketers aggregate their data and view it all in one place. But it's a huge challenge, and as a marketing to marketers about this topic, I'm thinking about it all the time and constantly having conversations about it. So I'm just curious if there's anything that you guys do, to, for example, measure the success of SEO or CRO or your marketing campaigns. Do you have a trick or tool or some needle-moving decision that's made it easier for you?
Something I'm trying to get better at is tracking the performance and objectives of my team, because we've got kind of a pretty distributed, small but also expanding and contracting team of, a lot of them are freelancers and consultants, and they're really hard to keep motivated and stay focused on toward a goal. And so I've been introduced to the concept of OKRs. Maybe it's pretty obvious, but
Yeah, I've used them before.
I hadn't.
Yeah.
Hadn't even heard of them till a couple of maybe a month ago. So objectives and key results, and trying to find a way to get myself and my team onto those and sort of focusing on their North Star. So I'm hoping that can help us, at least define what the goals are from an SEO, CRO, everything standpoint first, and then go and find, I think then we'll have the problem of how to track all of those things accurately.
Yeah, and how to measure success and celebrate it and get everyone on the same page. What about you?
I'll try to give a quick answer. So with one measurement learning that we've had recently is around being able to make decisions on experiments using lower funnel metrics, namely LTV, even though that's a metric that takes a really long time to measure through an experiment. I hope I'm making sense. So, we run an experiment. Usually, if it's an experiment that's meant to improve install rate or signups or even upgrade rate, we can tell that really fast within a few weeks. But with LTV, it takes a much longer time because you have to think about renewals and so on. And so we used to just try to estimate LTV by looking at the distribution of plan types that people bought, which are monthly, quarterly, or annual. But one thing that we've done recently is really understand the LTV by user segment. So by students, by professionals, by country and ad channel and all kinds of different things. And so we can see that, if we are able to produce an increase in the upgrade rate, is it also going to result in an increase in LTV? We may produce an increase in upgrade rate with students, but at a decrease in upgrade rate with professionals. And we know that professionals are a higher LTV segment, so we wouldn't want to make that, that decision to do that. So by really understanding the LTVs by segment, we're able to kind of predict the effect of an experiment on total LTV.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I think we're running low on time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you have any other SEO or conversion rate questions, I believe you can ask those online, and we can answer those for you.